Is it good morning or like good evening? Oh, good afternoon, still in the morning. So good morning, everyone. I'm Piriya Sambandaraksa. I think I have my slides up, yes. And actually, after these last few sessions, I've just been talking to myself, what am I going to say when I get up on stage? Because everything has already been said, right? Stefan, you already gave a masterful presentation on Bitcoin, and before that on the whole fiat monetary systems. And that just happens to be like my whole topic, the fiat monetary systems and Bitcoin, right? So again, good morning. I'm faced with quite a curious audience. I have students on the left, some beautiful ladies in uniforms, most likely military uniforms on the right. So I don't know how I should like. Okay, so the topic is broken money. Right? If you didn't know, we, Rightshift, have just released the Thai version of Lyn Alden's book, Broken Money, fully translated into Thai, 800 pages. It went on sale last week. Everything is sold out. You can still find it. It's still being reprinted. It's not like Bitcoin. You can still print more books, but you can still find it in bookstores. It's a really good book. And after it's been released, since it's been released, I've been asked by all sort of media outlets, including Ajahn Phai, to tell people something about the book. And the first thing I would tell is that I did not translate this book. Right? This is a work of my team of translators at Rightshift, the first book that is solely done without me getting into it. So it's one of the things we've been building up, the verticals of publications and translations. We want to bring more of these good books into Thai, so we had to have more people working on it. But people kept asking what the book is about, and the last time I read it was 2 years ago, so I have to go back and read the whole book again, all 800 pages, and this is what I came up with, right? And this is a good picture, actually, from a friend who just received the book, read it, make a post about it, and she said, in her father's days, or like grandfather, I don't even know what agong means, but probably grandfather's days, a single man can work and raise 12 kids. Even through the Great Depression, people were having like 8, 10 kids, and they were fine, right? But nowadays, people are doing 3 jobs. Even couples, both of them are doing 3 jobs. They have their day jobs, their side jobs. Maybe they do like Grab, food delivery jobs on the side. And that is not even enough to raise a healthy cat. That's why the cat is sick. And when you see this, you have to ask, what's wrong with money? Right? What's wrong with the world? We point fingers, we blame almost everything, but the one thing that we tend to turn a blind eye to is the actual money that we are being forced to use. Right? So we may blame, say, I don't know, Kun Anutin for the rising oil price, which, it's partly his fault, but, in case you didn't notice, there's a war going on. You can blame everything on the government, rightly so, but at the end of the day, there's one thing that drives all economic interactions, and that is money. And what happens to money is that it changes. For these past 50 years, money is not what it was, not what it used to be. So I'm going to start with explaining what exactly is money. According to Lyn, I think she put this very elegantly. She devised this unified theory of money. If you are students of economics, the problem of what exactly is money is something debatable. You can say that money is a product of the state, so the government has to issue money, and money only becomes money if the state accepts it. Or someone would say money is created from labor, so there's a labor value, labor theory of money. Someone said money is something that is used to, is used in commerce, right? So there's the velocity of theory of money. There are multiple theories that try to explain what money is, and what Lyn has done is to provide what she calls a unified theory of money. And she said that money is basically a system of ledger, a system of account, right? So even before money, human interacts, we trade, we build society upon trust. We do favors for one another. And in return of those favors, we give service to other people in the community. But that system has a flaw, because if you want to return a favor to someone, you basically have to know that someone. And if you want to trade with someone, you're going to do a favor for them. You have to know that you're going to get that favor back in return. So people are not likely to do trades with total, complete strangers that they're never going to meet again, right? So humanity is smart. Humans are smart. We devise a tool to keep track of all these favors without having to use, anything else other than just that tool. Right? We don't have to remember who owes us what, or we owe who what. So we devise money. Money as a commodity. Money as some sort of goods that's used as a token of favor. That token acts as a ledger. But that ledger has something, important, and that is who controls the ledger. The problem Lyn asks in the book is who controls the ledger. So in the days of commodity money, we use rice, we use seashells, we use rocks, stones. These commodities are what we call natural money. Nature's control the master ledger. You can't create more of these things without putting in the labor, without putting in the time. So, there's a limited supply of it. You can't create it out of thin air, right? And everything the society builds upon that is based on the fact that everything is run on this layer of immutable ledger controlled by nature itself. But even all these commodities are, they also compete. So when different civilizations, different societies come together, one society might be using a different form of money, and then that leads to a competition of what money would eventually wins out. And through thousands and thousands of years, we kind of end up with an answer, Gold became the de facto money. Gold became the money for humanity, for civilization, mostly because of its property. Gold is hard to counterfeit. Making fake gold, especially hundreds of years ago, is not an easy thing to do, right? It's provable. You remember people biting on gold coins? That's a way to prove. If that's in the history books, it just means that people back then were trying to prove if the gold they receive is real. You can weigh it. You can melt it down to find out if the gold is whole. So it's verifiable. And it's scarce. It's very labor intensive. There's a lot of risk in extracting gold and processing gold, turning gold from gold ores into gold bars. That's not an easy process. So gold kind of wins out, and every society, every civilization eventually evolves into using gold and other precious metal as money. But that's about the end of the commodity money era, right? Because gold was such a good form of money. It allows people to trade, and more importantly, it allows people to save. And when people save, they can build up capital. And when people have capital, they can invest those capital to create more stuff, to create more innovations, to better their lives and make a better society. Their society would grow, their civilization would grow, to a point, where gold start becoming cumbersome. the burden of having to prove, having to measure each pieces of gold and trying to determine its value for every trade become cumbersome. So we devised gold coins. And that's like the start of a system where we start placing trust back into the layer of money again. Now, just to emphasize that, money started off as a system of trust, a system of ledgers, decentralized ledgers based on trust. We invented commodity money to remove those trusts. Using gold bars, using gold coins, you don't need to trust the people, the person giving that gold to you. And no one has to trust you when you pay for that service with gold, because gold is gold, right? So it removes the layers of trust, and that helps commerce grow in ways that we have never seen before. But the problem is when societies get bigger and more advanced, we also develop new technology. What happened is, with the invention of telecommunication, we can talk to one another across the world with the speed of light. Well, more like the speed of electricity, a bit slower than light, but just for the sake of argument. Right? The speed of commerce starts getting faster and faster, but the speed of settlement, the speed of sending gold across the oceans, across continents, are not really getting faster at the same pace as the speed of commerce. So that creates a gap. And that gap becomes the most crucial breaking point of gold. It just means that gold is not fit for the new world anymore. How do we solve that? We don't have anything else better than gold, right? There's no better form of money that can be used in place of gold that can be sent across the world in seconds. It doesn't exist. So what do? We create a whole financial systems of banks, of goldsmiths, of shops, of bills of exchange. As systems of debit and credit and account, where we don't have to actually transport the gold, but we can write who owes what into a ledger, as a system of ledger. That can be settled in gold like maybe once a month or maybe once a year. And that improves the speed of settlement somewhat, but it's not real settlement. Gold is still slow, but we are making like this bank settlement layer faster until it becomes as fast as the speed of commerce. So this system is built on creating layers and layers and layers of financial instrument upon gold. Everything only has value because it can be redeemed into gold, right? All the notes, all the banks, all the treasuries, bills, the only reason they have value is because you can transform them, you can convert them back into gold. But you can use these easily. It's easier to use all these promises, these banknotes, compared to using gold. But what happens when we introduce this kind of systems? A system of debit and credit, where when you spend money, it is, what the bank does is the bank would debit your account and they would credit the other person's account. So in essence, you owe money to the bank owe money to the person you're paying to. It's a system of tracking who owes what to whom, right? So now we're back to square one. We're back to the first system of money that we have that has a problem that requires everyone to be able to trust one another. But we solve that by, instead of having everyone trusting one another, we now trust the banks. Right? We now trust the banks to be honest. We now trust the banks to not inflate our money or rehypothecate the gold that they're holding. Right? We're placing trust into this organization, this institution, that they would conduct these settlement for us. And we just conveniently use this system of accounts and numbers. This creates a problem, right? This creates a huge problem because in these systems, suddenly, we need to know who's again. Now, I'll get to that later. We've seen 2 presentations ago, 1971, what happens when the gold was removed. Essentially what happens is that we have this system that is only valuable because it's created from gold. But when it becomes so big that everyone has to depend on it, the government says, gold is preventing us from creating infinite amount of money. If we can create an infinite amount of money, maybe we can help end poverty, maybe we can help end hunger, right? So what they did is they actually remove gold from the base of the monetary systems. Now we have a system where money can be created just from debt. Central banks can just issue money by buying debt from government. And when money is created from debt, you create a system of debtors, right? And borrowers. And when you have a system of debtor and borrowers, you need to know who is borrowing from who. So, to facilitate that, we have to introduce a system of KYC, AML, anti-money laundering. You have to know who everyone was. You have to impose all these rules where you have to scan all your ID cards. You just make a payment. Gone are the day where money is anonymous and you just pay whomever you want. Now you can't. Right? If you want to pay to this account, maybe that account was blacklisted, you become blacklisted as well. This system is enforced through networks of banks that ultimately reports to one central bank. And that central bank reports to another central bank in a larger country, and eventually everyone reports to the Federal Reserve in the US. And they are still trying to push that. Now that they have their system, they realize that there's tremendous power in knowing who's who and who's conducting what transactions at all times. This power is intoxicating. So apart from just being able to print infinite amount of money, the government wants more. Now they want to control every transaction. Now they want to control. They know they want to know every transaction you make. You want to buy some dumpling meatballs. The Federal Reserve is going to know that. And they were going to do that by introducing a thing called the CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency, a programmable money that is aimed at surveillance and state control. When the state have total control, money becomes not a tool that facilitates commerce. Right? Money becomes a tool of control. Money can then be used to silence political dissidents. We have students here from Myanmar. You would have experienced that firsthand. Your bank accounts can be frozen if you're not aligned with the current government, the current juntas, right? People in China, they see that with the social credit scoring systems. Money becomes a system of control. And with the control of money, government can be sure that there's no way the citizen is going to revolt no matter what they do, because they do not have the ability to revolt. They can't save because the money is being created and printed out of thin air to steal from their saving, so they can't build up capital to fight the government. They can't even travel, right? Because every cent, every baht, every stang is going to be tracked and controlled, right? It creates a system of total control, total panopticon. We become not humans living in a free society. We become prisoners. Money is no longer something that, is no longer a private asset that you own. It's a permission that you're granted. And this is the world that we are in today, where Lyn said, money is broken. So how do we fix that? Well, it's a Bitcoin thing, so I'm going to get into Bitcoin. How do we fix that? How do we close the speed gap without surrendering the whole ledger? We can do that using technology, using telecommunication technology, using cryptography. Right? Advances in cryptography has led to the invention of this peer-to-peer electronic cash that we know as Bitcoin. Stefan has already highlighted all the properties of Bitcoin. It is decentralized. It's not controlled by anyone. There's no there's no company, there's no VCs, there's no stockholders, steering the whole development of Bitcoin. The system is run by nodes, and nodes are people, users of the systems. What nodes do is that we protect the consensus. We protect the rules from being changed. We verified every transactions. We verify all the amounts of Bitcoin that's been created to prevent anyone from ever being able to create money out of thin air, to prevent anyone from being able to censor transaction, to prevent any government from being able to seize and confiscate money from people. A system of ledger that is protected by everyone on earth, that you can use, that you can have, that you can own, without having to ask permission from the government. You can have Bitcoin on you wherever you go, as long as you can remember that pesky little 12 words. It's a bit hard, but you can do it, right? As long as you can remember the words, as long as you can remember the seed phrase, you have Bitcoin with you wherever you go. You have the freedom to spend that money wherever you go, on whatever you choose, without having to ask the bank, without having to ask the government, without having to pay all these fees, these exchanges rates and quotas for exchanging money across borders. What Bitcoin does is it actually solves the monetary trilemma, where we can't have scarcity, sovereignty, and velocity in the same thing. Gold is scarce. It provides sovereignty for the people using it, but it's slow, right? So to solve that, we create fiat money and CBDCs to solve the problem by making a fast settlement system. But we have to sacrifice sovereignty and scarcity in the process. With Bitcoin, there's only 21 million Bitcoin that's ever going to be created. So we have scarcity. We have hundreds of thousands of nodes protecting the consensus rules. No one, no government can tamper, change, or influence the consensus of Bitcoin. So we have sovereignty. We own what we own. And Bitcoin is digital. It's a digital cash, right? So you can send it across the world in seconds, at the speed of light, at the speed of commerce. So with this, we've actually solved the gap along with the other problems that's created by the fiat money system. What Bitcoin does is it will eventually and hopefully be able to separate money from state. State has become this huge industry, this gigantic panopticon controlling citizens all over the world, that no one can challenge it because they hold monopoly in so many things, in violence, in military power. So no one can challenge the state. But with Bitcoin, people can start saving again. People can start accumulating capital, right? People can build their own business, can do their own thing without having to ask for permission. And when you don't agree with the state, you would have the capital to at least defend yourself. And when you get together with other people, you can start to fight back. Right? Money is human right. Monetary self-sovereignty is human right. To be able to own what you've earned is human right. We're not trying to take money from other people. We're not like tax the rich, try to give us more free stuff, something that the government has always been trying to sell people. We're going to give you more money, whatever it is, 50-50 thing. Money is something that you earn, and you should have the right to keep what you earn and spend it however you want. And that is what Bitcoin enables. So the book is out. If you're interested in the Thai version, probably not because I'm giving this lecture in English, but yeah, if you're interested in the Thai version, you can find it in the bookstores all over the country. But if you want the original version, it's been out for 2 years, Broken Money by Lyn Alden. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.